Dear learners, welcome. We will be studying the codification of learning outcome as given in the FLN framework. We know that there are different domains of development like physical and motor, socio-emotional, art and aesthetic, cognitive development, moral and spiritual development, creative development, language and literacy, which the child needs to master for dealing with complex life situations. In the FLN framework, all these domains of development have been subsumed into three developmental goals. Developmental goal 1 is children maintain good health and well-being. This goal covers the physical development, the socio-emotional development, nutrition, health, hygiene, sanitation, and anything that affects the overall health and well-being of the child. Goal 2 is children become effective communicators, and this goal deals with talking and listening skills, then reading with comprehension and writing with purpose. Goal 3 is children become involved learners and connect with their immediate environment. This goal talks about development of senses, development of cognitive skills like classification, seriation, matching, sorting, one-to-one correspondence, sequential thinking that the child needs to develop to learn science and mathematics. Then this goal also covers the environment, the natural environment of the child, that is the flora, the fauna, the animals, and the physical environment, that is day, night, earth, sun, moon, and the social environment, that is the interpersonal relationship of the child with the community, with the family members. So all these three developmental goals lead to the holistic development of the child. For all the three developmental goals, competencies have been defined and learning outcomes are also defined. Let us understand what is the difference between competency and learning outcome. When we put the knowledge, attitude and skills together, then it becomes a competency. And when we measure the competency in such a way that it is observable and measurable, then it becomes learning outcome. I will explain with an example. When the child is young, we start teaching about different colors and we talk about different vegetables. For example, capsicum is green, tomato is red, and similarly fruits, that apple is red, banana is yellow, and about the animals, that this is a black dog. Different colors that come that the child sees in our day-to-day life are the child is addressed or child is taught about those colors. When I give a task to this child and say that you sort different colors into different boxes, and then I see that the child has understood that red is a different color, yellow is a different color, and green is a different color. So when I design that activity where the child is sorting different colors, then I say that this is a learning outcome, but the competency is that the child has acquired the concept of color. Now, when the child is differentiating different colors, I know that he is identifying, he is classifying, and he also has a knowledge of the colors. So, the knowledge, the attitude and the skills are seen together when a task is designed in such a way where the child is asked to do something. And the ultimate aim of the competency-based education is whatever the child has learnt, he should be able to transfer that knowledge in the real life situation. So, where does a child use the colors? So, the child, I have to dress up, I have to match my shirt with my skirt or with my trousers, I have to buy a shoes which match with my dress. So, the child is actually using the knowledge of color into the real life situation. So, this is the idea of the competency based education, that whatever is being learned, the child is able to use it in the real life situation as well as transfer that knowledge into new situation. Now, these competencies which are there in the FLN framework have been taken from the preschool curriculum and the learning outcome at elementary stage. Both of these documents have been developed by the NCERT. Now, let us understand how do the competencies look in the FLN framework. So, I will talk in detail about the health and well-being, that is the goal 1, and the competencies. So for the goal 1, the competency is awareness of self. That means the child becomes aware of his own self. So here the learning outcome for preschool stage would be that he just defines the body parts, and then it keeps on increasing. Then development of positive self-concept is another competency. Now it is very important that the child needs to be encouraged, admired, so that he develops a positive self-concept. Now self-regulation is very important, that the child needs to learn to focus and refocus. These days we have lot of mobile phones, televisions, lot of distractions. So the child needs to understand when he has to move away from those distractions and focus on maybe the homework, the classwork, so whatever the child is doing. And in order to learn the self-regulation, our age-old practices like yoga, meditation, visualization, relaxation techniques, breathing techniques are very, very important. Then development of pro-social behavior. So that is helping, sharing, caring, cooperation. So all these behaviors the child must learn right from the beginning. Then decision making and problem solving, though they look big words, but problem solving like do I want to play in the library corner today, or do I want to play in the mathematics corner? So these are small, like for example, we tell a story of a thirsty crow, and then I ask the child, what if there was no straw? How do you think that the crow would have drank the water? So small problem solving skills are to be taught to children right from the beginning. Then development of healthy habits, hygiene, sanitation, awareness of self-protection, that is the safety, good touch, bad touch, all these habits have to be taught to the children, or they need to master it. Then development of fine motor skills and eye-hand coordination. This is a very important skill because this is a prerequisite to learn to write. So a lot of tearing, cutting, pasting, working with the beads, lot of experiences need to be given to the children. Then development of gross motor skills, that is the large motor development, so running, jumping, playing outside in an organized manner, balancing. So all those kind of activities are given here. And then eventually it is the participation in individual and team games and sports. So these are the competencies, and then there are learning outcomes. So these competencies are generic in nature, and it runs right across the 6 levels in the FLN framework. Similarly, as we said, the competencies of goal 2, that is oral language development, that is the talking and listening, listening with comprehension, creative self-expression and conversation, language and creative thinking, vocabulary development, conversation and talking skills, meaningful use of language, these are there. Similarly, for goal 2, reading with comprehension, right from bonding with books to independent reading for pleasure and various purposes, all these competencies have been highlighted. Then writing with purpose, early literacy skill to writes for different purpose in classroom and activities, that is from early literacy skills to independent writing has been highlighted. And similarly for goal 3, the competencies, that is the cognitive skill, the concepts related to environment, the number sense, number operation, measurement, use of technology. So all these competencies have been highlighted. Now let us understand the codification of learning outcomes. As we discussed, that there are 3 developmental goals and there are 6 levels. Level 1 is preschool 1, level 2 is preschool 2, level 3 is Balvatika, level 4 is class 1, level 5 is class 2, and level 6 is class 3. Now as children move to class 1 onwards, goal 1 is an overarching goal, and this goal would merge with all the subject areas. So the socio-emotional aspect of it, the nutrition, health, hygiene will be imbibed in all other subjects that the child will be studying in an age appropriate manner. In goal 2 after class 1 becomes the first language and the second language of the child, depending on the languages of the state, and goal 3 becomes mathematics and environmental studies, and later on to science and social sciences along with mathematics. So this is how the learning outcomes have been codified in the FLN framework. Now, each goal has been given a code. HW is for goal 1, that is health and well-being. EC is for goal 2, that is effective communicators, and IL is for goal 3, that is involved learners. Now, we have discussed that there are 6 levels, that is starting from preschool 1 to grade 3 for each of the goal, and then the learning outcomes have been numbered from 1.1 to 1.12 for goal 1. For L1 it is 1 to 1.09, for L2 it is 1.1 to 1.15, and for goal 3 it is 1.1 to 1.28. The given codes are only for referencing purposes and for easy identification. They are not hierarchical. That means the teacher can have any of the learning outcome designed first. Let us now understand how the codification looks in the FLN framework. The competency part is not there. It is just for the demonstration purposes that I have included here, and let us understand why there is not one-to-one correspondence between competencies and learning outcome. We saw in the competencies, for example, vocabulary development. Now, this vocabulary the child can learn in English, in Hindi, in mathematics, in games and sports. So, there are a lot of experiences that the child is learning through different activities that is leading to the development of the vocabulary. Now, let us see here in preschool 1 demonstrates awareness of self is the competency. In preschool 1, the child begins to state some physical characteristic about self. In preschool 2, describes self in terms of physical characteristics. In Balvatika, the child describes self and others in terms of physical characteristics, gender, interests, likes and dislikes. In class 1, recognizes different body parts and uses various body movements. In class 2, maintains correct posture, uses various body movements to participate in games and sports. And in class 3, participates in games and sports to strengthen and extend gross motor skills. So, we see that right from beginning to state some physical characteristic, the child has started taking part in games and sports, and we are talking about the strengthening and extending of the gross motor skills. Let us understand goal 2. The competencies demonstrates phonological awareness, that is rhyming. Now, in preschool 1, sings, hums words, lines, parts of songs and rhymes in own language or in second language. In preschool 2, identifies few rhyming words. In Balvatika, enjoys and creates nonsensical rhyming words. So, initially, for example, if I ask a child what is a rhyming word for bandar, which means monkey, the child might say that it is andar, which is all right. Another child might say it is kandar, which has no meaning. So, initially I accept that word, but later on as we go higher in the classes, we do not accept the nonsensical rhyming words. And then similarly in class 1, it is creates rhyming words based on the available text. In class 2, writes selective rhyming words in pairs. And in class 3, uses rhyming words for writing short sentences. For goal 3, the competencies compares and classifies given objects and pictures. For preschool 1, the learning outcome is compares two objects based on one observable property, for example, length, weight or size. For preschool 2, it is compares and classifies objects by two factors like shape and color, size and shape, and describes objects using words like big or small, tall or short, etc. For Balvatika, it is compares and classifies objects by three factors like shape, color and size, and correctly uses position words like besides, inside, under to describe objects. For class 1, it is compares and classifies objects or pictures based on multiple factors and demonstrates understanding of position. For class 2, it is compares and classifies objects or pictures based on multiple factors and describes them using properties. For class 3, it is compares and classifies objects, pictures in different categories and describes the properties used for classification. So now we see that these learning outcomes are progressive, which means that as the child grows higher up in the classes, the expectation of learning become higher. And it is also a spiral in the sense that we built on the earlier competencies that the child has acquired. For example, in preschool 1, it is compares 2 objects based on 1 observable property and then 2 factors and then 3 factors. So we keep building on the first competency of the earlier class and then go slightly deeper in the next class and then slightly deeper. So we keep coming back and start building on the previous year's competency so that we ensure that the child has achieved the learning outcomes. So friends, this was about how learning outcomes and competencies have been codified in the FLN framework. I hope you enjoyed learning about the codification of learning outcomes. Thank you.